All right, we're live now. So, Buck, we are now on Facebook Live. Next, we need to get it set up. Well, we'll see how it goes. There's Facebook. Excuse me. What's it turning on? That's weird. It's kind of annoying. It's on the side. Huh. It was working last week. It's weird, I don't know why. Or something. So, let's see, my thing's on. Yeah. So, I don't want that locked up. I'm trying to figure this thing out here. Hi, Mom. Somehow, it's sideways. I don't know how to get it to be not sideways. Technology, like we were saying, right?
Yeah.
Last week it worked fine. And now this week it seems to be not working as well. And I have no idea what to do.
You're taping this for something, huh?
Yeah, it's live now, and then the idea is I'm going to put it on so people can watch it on Facebook, and then I'll put it on YouTube, my YouTube channel later. But it's sideways. I don't know how to get on. I have no idea how to fix that. Probably because I started it.
Well, amazes me just you have it up there.
I think part of the problem is I started it at portrait, and so I'm gonna this one. Shouldn't be ideal, but it's not gonna switch because. How much?
Stand by.
Okay. Well. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. Excuse me, I'm your host, Mark Bellows. Excuse me. I am a principal with Clifton Larson Allen, CPA firm. I used to be with Galena, and Galena merged into or got acquired by CLA effective January 1 of this year. I work in the Roseville office, work with contractors, real estate people, manufacturing, distribution, businesses, their owners, that type of stuff. And my number is 916-784-7800 if you want to get a hold of me, or you can email me at mark.bellows@claconnect.com. So it is the Wednesday, the 1st of February. Tomorrow's Groundhog Day. We'll see if the groundhog sees his shadow or not. And whatever, I don't remember if that means that he sees a shadow in 6 more weeks of winter, or if he sees it and it's not, but we'll see what it is. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Let's see, it is a nice start to the day before the rain comes. We got a couple things to talk about, and then we'll bring in a guest here later on. My guest today is going to be Buck Nord, who's got quite a following on Facebook because of his Buck Nord ranches that used to be down in San Jose area, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But in the meantime, I'm a tax guy. It's tax time, and so I want to talk about the fact that a lot of tax due dates have changed this year, and so it's going to make those of us that do compliance a little bit trickier to remember all these different dates. And those of you who file returns, you need to remember that it's different than it's been for a while. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I do also want to mention that I am shaving my head again as a fundraiser for St. Baldrick's. That is going to happen on Saturday the 4th of March, so it's coming up in a little over a month. And it's a fundraiser. The money goes to St. Baldrick's, which is a research organization that looks into ways to try to cure childhood cancer. A national organization, and then also some of the money goes to the local organization called Keaton Raphael Memorial, organization which I sit on the board of. And what Keaton Raphael Memorial does is they provide assistance, financial and other types of things to families that who have children that are going through cancer treatment. So with KRM, we assist the families in providing gas cards and helping them find lodging if they need to stay the night while their child is in the hospital, care packages, give the kids some things when they first start going through the treatment. So CAREM's a great organization, and some of the money I raise will be going towards them. So if you're interested in supporting this great venture, I think, this will be my 7th year doing it, you can always go to stbaldricks.com or org, I can't remember which, I'll have to figure that out, but and look up participants and Mark Bellows. I think I'm the only Mark Bellows there, so it'd be great to get support from people. You can also email me, again, mark.bellows@claconnect.com, and I'll give you more information on how to contribute to St. Baldrick's. If you want to call in today, the number is 866-576-1055. If you have a question for me or for the guests, we will go through that. And also, one of the things that we're starting to do this year for the show, and I'm going to be bringing on Katie McConnell. She's been a frequent guest, and she's going to start hosting with me here next week. And one of the things we are also looking at doing is we've got a lot of ad time that we run in between, in between the segments, and we can certainly sell those out to people who are interested in doing some type of sponsorship of the show or support for the show or advertising on the show. So if you're interested in doing that, you can get a hold of me at 916-784-7800 or email me mark.bellows@claconnect.com. I'd be more than happy to talk to you more about that. It's a good chance to get your message out to our listeners. And then finally, I guess last thing is that this Thursday night from 4 to 7 o'clock, my firm is CLA, Clifton Larson Allen in Roseville, is having an open house, kind of introduce the firm to people, that sort of thing. So again, if you're interested, email or call me. And then remember, Sunday's the Super Bowl. So hopefully in my case, I hope Atlanta Falcons win. I have a feeling the New England Patriots are kind of tough to beat. They're such a good team with a 39-year-old quarterback who seems to be much younger than that out on the field. And it's a system, that the Patriots have this system. Brady was out for the first 4 games. They put in 3 different quarterbacks in the course of those 4 games and won 3 of the 4. They get rid of 2 of their best defensive players in the year because they weren't part of the system, and new guys. It's like a plug and play type of thing under Bill Belichick's system, and they just continue to win. So pretty amazing to watch. It should be a good game, I hope. Probably a very, very high offensive scoring game. We'll see. So first thing, tax due dates. They have changed them starting this year because of some of the tax acts that came around. So let's go through those. First off, if you're an individual and you file your 1040, the due date is April 15th. And if you extend it, the extended due date is October 15th. That has not changed, so there's no change there. If you have a C corporation, so it's a corporation that is multiple owners typically, not always, but typically multiple owners, the income is taxed at the corporate level, so it's a C corporation. The due date has always been March 15th with the extended due date September 15th. Well, now the due date is extended to April 15th, but the extended due date is still September. So That's a big change. So C corporations are now due April 15th. If you have an S corporation, which is a small business corporation, 100 or less owners, none of them foreign, certain types of trusts can be owners, but for the most part it's basically individuals and sometimes trusts. If you have an S corporation, the due date is now March 15th, so that didn't change, and extended to September. So if you have an S, it's March 15th. If you have a C, it's April 15th. So a little bit of a change there. If you have a partnership or an LLC, that sort of thing, something taxed as a partnership, it used to be April 15th as the due date, now it's March 15th. So what they've done is they've kind of pushed up the pass-through entities, the S-corps, the LLCs, the partnerships, those are all due March 15th, and then the individuals due April 15th. That gives you time for individuals to gather the information from the pass-through entities, which has not always been the case when they're due at the same time. So those are the main ones. Trusts are still due April 15th, but they're extended due to September 30th. It's an odd one right there. And otherwise, there's a couple other things, but I think that's the important thing. Oh, actually another one that's really important. If you have financial accounts or foreign bank accounts, there's a report, used to be the TDF 90-22.1 odd number, but now it's the FinCEN report 114. That has always been due June 30th, and there's a $10,000 penalty if you don't file it. So it's very important to file. And the state will also try to assist you with $10,000 penalty as well as the Fed, so it's an expensive one to not do. But that's always been due June 30th. Well, now it's due April 15th. So that is much sooner in the system, and so that's going to be a one for people to remember. If you have, again, foreign bank accounts, foreign retirement accounts, if you have foreign assets, certain foreign assets, maybe rental properties and that type of stuff, foreign-wise, you've got this form to file, and the due date is no longer June 30th, it's now April 15th. So that is, that's important stuff to know, I think. Other forms out there, not a big deal, but those are the ones I really want to touch on. When we get back from the break, we're going to introduce our guest, Buck, and we'll go through a couple things while we're talking with Buck, including I have an article here, 9 entrepreneurs share their most valuable daily life hacks. So we'll talk with Buck about whether he had some of these or still has some of these in play in his business now. You listen to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
What do you mean by hacks?
I think it says startup life can be demanding on everything. How do other entrepreneurs hack it? So I think it's
Okay, gotcha.
So how do you handle it?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I can do that. I can hack that.
So I gotta figure this out. Shoot, this is really annoying. I think what I did, that's so funny. I think since I started the show on this view portrait, I can't turn it on its side.
Oh.
So I gotta figure,
Okay.
So anyway, kind of annoying. Gotta figure out how
I'll
to.
scoot up.
uh,
I'll scoot up anyway.
We're fine. It'll be good. I just gotta.
Hey, if we're going to be a sanctuary state, none of those laws mean anything.
Yeah, that's true. Brian, that's a good point. I'll bring that up. All right, so how am I going to get this? Because this does not go up high enough, does it? No. Shoot. Well, I hate doing it sideways. That's annoying. Yeah. 30 seconds? Well. How does that look? Is that better? Can you see us? See me? And you're back. You're listening to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. We're listening to the Taxman from the Beatles on the way in. One of my listeners on Facebook Live, Brian, reminded me, which is a good point, that this year, the April 15th falls on a Saturday. So the due date normally would be the following Monday when it falls on a Saturday or Sunday. The Monday is April 17th, but in Washington, D.C., that is Emancipation Day. So it's a federal holiday. So taxes are actually due April 18th of this year. So you've got till Tuesday to file your taxes. So of April 18th. So 3 more days for me to be in the office. It's great. So I want to introduce my guest today. which is Buck Nord. Welcome, Buck.
Thank you, Mark. Nice to be here.
Yeah, how are you doing this morning?
Doing fine, thanks. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely, I'm glad you could make it on the show. So, my feet just died. So, maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and I'm going to go adjust the camera real quick.
Okay. Well, I'm basically have become a real estate investor, commercial real estate these days, but I really started out in the horse business. I had a number of trail ride operations, and the business model at that time was to find vacant land on the outskirts of a city.
Right.
Hopefully one of the better cities that had good demographics where people could afford to ride horses.
Yeah.
And land would also need to be adjacent to public riding land. So the model was to find that kind of property and lease it.
So when did you start doing this?
This was back in the early 60s, 1962 actually.
Okay.
You could rent these properties really cheap because they were held by developers or investors who were holding on to land in the path of development. And their idea was to hold on to that land until they decided to sell it. I could lease that from them on very attractive terms,
right,
because it was just some amount of money that came in, and mostly it was a trade to take care of the property as much as anything. So that was the way my model worked. But what happened along the way was these investors would decide to sell. And my lease always had a subject to sale clause in it,
right,
allowing them to sell at any time. So sometimes I would just lose a business that I'd spent a number of years building up and going, and I would just lose it because they were going to sell it. The other thing that struck me was they were selling this for a lot more money than I could have bought it for when I first leased, if I would have had the money. And I began to realize that there was really a lot of money in holding that land. And there wasn't really not a lot of money in the horse business. But if I could figure out a way for horses to support land like that, if I could buy it, maybe the better money would be in the land on which I operated.
Right.
And the horse business, which was my main business, would be a way of doing that. So that's how I kind of got started in the real estate investment. But of course, just because you have that idea, doesn't mean you have the money to do it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And but I found when I would make a new lease, and they always had that subject to sale clause in there, I would have them put in right of first refusal for me.
Now, would you have a price specified at that time as well, or would you go in price when you got
Usually it was a price at the not specified at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
But it would give me a chance to match any other offer they had. Really, I didn't have the wherewithal to do that in any case, but it gave me a seat at the table, Mark.
Yeah, yeah.
When they went to sell that property, they had to sit down with me too.
Right.
And I could act like I might have been able to perform. Mostly, I was able to buy those properties, or some of them, on just very attractive terms. The trade-off for them was they got more money for that from me than I would have from someone else.
Right,
but it gave me a way in. So I began to see if I could purchase those properties.
And you came from pretty humble beginnings.
Oh yeah, it doesn't get more humble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left home at 14 years old and married young at 16 and just scraped around. I was a farm worker. My dad, when I was raised on a ranch outside of San Jose. When San Jose was an agricultural community at that time, way before Silicon Valley, the whole valley was full of orchards and blossoms, and the surrounding hills were cattle ranches.
Right.
And my dad was a foreman on one of those ranches. My folks had come during the Great Depression, Ducks Bowl out and work crops up and down the San Joaquin Valley. My dad, being a good ranch hand, his family had owned their own ranches back in New Mexico and Texas, lost them all. And but he was a good ranch hand, knew what he was doing, and he got a job as a foreman. My earliest memories were that. But my dad was a drinker, and he ended up losing everything. My folks divorced, and we moved into town, and mother remarried. I just got upset with the whole thing and left home early, to make a long story short. Slept under bushes, stayed on the road, but I knew how to work on ranches. And I had a spiel. I could go up and down the road to different ranches and say, look, I'll work a week for nothing, you don't have to pay me. And if you like me, you can keep me. And that was my spiel.
Oh, that's a great spiel. And that worked for you. I mean,
it did work. I see a lot of people, I think it was their way of looking back. I've had different views on it. At first, I was just glad to get a place for a week because I got to eat and a place to sleep for a week, even if they didn't pay me anything.
Yeah.
And some of them didn't pay me anything. As I look back, I thought, well, gee, that was kind of chintzy. But looking back, I think those are people trying to help me, and they did all they could. They gave me a week, and they really couldn't afford to hire somebody. But little by little, I worked my way up from ranch help to working in packing houses, things like that at the agricultural field. But horses have always been a part of my family's business, so it's in the blood, I think.
Yeah.
And I always had a way with horses. I was able to put these trail rides together. Really, that's another story, how they get the horses in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
And really, I didn't even own a horse when I started that business. I ran an ad in the paper that I would board your horse free if I could use it. And there were people who had family horse that they didn't ride anymore, but they couldn't really get rid of it, couldn't sell it, and so I would get those horses, and that's how I got started with horses I didn't even own.
So how many horses did you end up having that you do for the trail rides?
There were more than I could count, thousands of horses,
Wow.
literally thousands. I don't want to say tens of thousands, but it was many thousands of horses.
And so you would.
I had 20
feed and care
locations,
for them.
California, Arizona, Nevada, by the time we did it all. And sometimes there'd be a truckload of 10 horses coming in every week to one of the places,
Wow.
and 10 going back. And so it ended up, from no horses at all
To thousands, yeah.
to thousands over time. Yeah.
And so you had, it was under the name Buck Nord Ranch?
Yeah, that another interesting story there. It ended up being under the Buck Nord Ranch. When I started, each place was named at its location.
Okay.
There was a Santa Teresa Stables, there were Stevens Creek Trails, there were Almaden Trails, they were all named, but I began to want to advertise these things. And it's really hard to advertise all those different names.
They're all different, sure.
So we had to have a common name put together. It's funny, I never realized that my name just happens to complement that so nicely.
Yeah.
I had never even thought about it before. So we started off calling it would be Stevens Creek Trails, another Buck Nord Stables.
Okay.
Santa Teresa Ranch, another Buck Nord Stables. And then finally we just turned it all around and it became Buck Nord Operations. But some of them weren't Buck Nord. We did a lot of movie work back in the 60s when everything on TV was Western.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You couldn't
Huge.
turn on a
Yeah.
TV without. And so we furnished a lot of livestock for a lot of the TV shows. The one most known would be the Bonanza series.
Right.
We handled the horses and all for that whole series. And others were the High Chaparral. They're probably things that a lot of people don't even remember now, but those are big old westerns.
Yeah, back
at
in the day.
time.
Sure.
Uh,
Jerry remembers some of those, I think.
So that's really, I got started in the horse business, and I was making it in a business, but not a lot of money, just getting by. And then when I started buying property, it got worse because I'd been getting cheap rent.
Yeah.
And now I had payments
Yeah.
to make that maybe quadrupled.
Let's say they weren't quite as
or
cheap.
even more, just to make the payments. So one horse operation in one location that was making a profit, had a bottom line to it, suddenly had brackets around the bottom line just because of what it was paying out. And it had changed my whole model.
Yeah, that's tough to sustain.
Yeah.
So what was the change?
Well, some of the places just didn't pencil out anymore. It just didn't make that much money. But in some cases, the appreciation was so great on those properties. And of course, in my mind, I said, well, I may be losing so much money every month here by operating, but my gosh, the value of the property is going up much better than that. So if I can find some way to keep supporting this. So I got more and more cash poor as we went along, but worth more and more money.
Yeah.
My financial statement began to look good. That allowed me to borrow more money.
Okay.
And so I was borrowing money to feed the alligator
Right.
a lot of the time.
So this is in the 60s still?
I was in the 60s, and I went right through the 60s, 70s, and I cut down most of the operations except for one ranch, what's now known as the Buck Nord Ranch. It's now part of the Santa Teresa County Park.
Okay.
And it's called the Buck Nord part of that park. There's a Buck Nord Trail that goes through there. That was the last property, and I ended up selling that to the county parks.
Okay.
And finally was able to cash out. And Mark, on a very favorable terms, you'd be familiar with this, because I was bought out by the county, I got got a very favorable tax treatment because there was a
Right.
threat of eminent domain.
Right, right.
So we can
Nice.
talk about that if you want.
1033.
Yeah.
So it's the code section. But. Good. So, but Buckanord Ranch, you've got a following. You've got a Facebook page. I used to write at Buckanord Ranch. Is that what it's?
Yes, somebody started that.
Yeah. Not you.
Not me. I'm not on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I know about about it, and I hear about it from time to time. In fact, when you posted that I'd be a guest on the show, I got a couple of calls. Hey, you're going on a talk show. So, yeah, there are people. Well, a lot of kids. A lot of the kids that rode those horses are now, in their 50s.
Yeah.
And I get calls, I get messages from people from time to time. Gee, I remember working out there, and so it was a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
training. It's a cash outflow business.
Yeah.
Right, covering those kids, their children, the teens, whatever their fee or their wages and that type of stuff, plus the food and water for the horses and all that stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah, it was very expensive.
I imagine.
And a lot of the kids, we had up to 150 employees by the time we left there. Most of them were part-time,
Right.
Kids, students. We had a time too, another just interesting story about regulations. I had kids, a lot of kids were working free, so they could just ride. And I had the labor commissioner come in, somebody complained.
Yeah, of course.
And they said, well, you can't do that, you're abusing children and you're taking, advantage of people. I said, well, not really, they just want to ride and I can use the help. I said, I can't do that. And we're gonna fine you, we're gonna put you out of business if you continue. And I said, well, I don't know what I can do about this. And they said, well, look, here's the rule. You're either paying them or they're paying you, one or the other. And if you're paying them, you gotta pay minimum wage and you gotta put workers' comp and you gotta have all these things. That would have further put my model out of the ballpark. But I said, well, let's see, but they can pay me. And they said, yeah, that's different category. I said, okay, well, from now on, it'll cost you $10 a month to work here. And that turned out to be the most popular program we had.
Is that right?
Yeah, we had kids lined up and parents wanted to be sure that their kids could make it, make the program. We took it seriously though. I mean, we really put a program together. Kids learn things, they learn responsibilities, getting there on time, doing these things.
Right.
And it was a good program, but I ended up with having people pay me to work there.
That's a good situation. Well, we're gonna take a break. When we get back, we'll continue the conversation with Buckanord. You listen to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM.
How's that going?
Doing great.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
the help.
$10, huh?
Yeah,
That's
$10
right.
a month. And we had it. Used to be before you had parents, so you're taking advantage of my kid. And then we had parents, different kind of parents like you. They said, well, we see the value of this, and we want the kid to make it. Are they gonna get through stage 2 and 3? And we'd say, sometimes, they had to be of a certain age, and they had to, and they didn't make it. Sometimes we'd say, well, come again next year. They just maybe another year. We got better employees, full family support.
I think I bet on some of those ones. And they were all out of the money, every one of them.
Would you ever buy horses, or would you always get them boarded, or were they always ones that people were
Oh,
boarded?
no, that was a very short-lived part of the program. It really didn't work out because the people whose horses I was using wanted to come out on the weekends and use them.
Okay,
And that's when I had to use them, so it really never did work
Okay,
out.
gotcha.
But I started making enough money to buy a horse and then another horse, and then I bought more horses and opened up more stables and bought more horses. And they numbered way into the thousands by the time I was done. No way to accurately know.
Yeah.
but-
Was that labor commissioner? Was that a California thing or
Yeah,
Arizona?
California
or,
thing. Yeah, and all that did was piss them off, it was just,
Of course.
people were,
Yeah.
I found a way to keep abusing children.
But that was that the 70s?
That
80s?
would have been in the 70s, yeah, maybe even 80s.
And I think then, right, there was a much more, I mean, the people were getting, country or whatever, was getting a little more aware of things like that, or more focused on things like that. Obviously, sometimes it went too far, but I mean,
Yeah.
focus on
Yeah.
making sure, people were being abused or whatever.
Yeah, it was sure for me, because ever since I was a kid, we'd worked in the fields, worked in the fields of family before my folks, we always, kids worked.
Yeah.
And there was a thought about, well, they shouldn't be working. But looking over things now, there are a lot of reasons for those kinds of,
Yeah.
mine didn't happen to be one of them, but there really were reasons for the commission to come in and look out for children. There still are.
Yeah, because sometimes people can abuse that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they used in the agricultural field too.
Yeah.
So, but like a lot of regulations, you know, the unintended consequences.
Yeah.
You mean to do a good thing.
Exactly, it's a good, I mean, I think, well, yeah, I think that's a lot of cases, yeah. Good idea, but it gets, goes too far.
Yeah. And all those regulations, when I started in the horse business, nobody was paying attention to me. There wasn't any such thing as an industry for that. There weren't anybody focusing on it, so I could do anything I wanted. I rent space, and sometimes they'd come out and say, you have to have a use permit to do this. I said, oh, okay. I would get one. And they just weren't being watched. I probably today, if you try to do the same thing,
I'm sure you'd have.
you really could. I was kind of in an outlaw status. Didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
But it probably would be thought of that way today, and you probably couldn't make it on the amount of money. When I went into that business, everybody told me you couldn't make it in that business anyway. They said horses is something you spend money on. You don't make money with them. You might have a little weekend operation all I did was open up 20 locations in California or something like that.
Apparently,
Had
you can
thousands
make
of
it work.
horses, but I never made a lot of money with it. But it allowed me to get into real estate,
Yeah.
and I've made a lot of money since then.
Yeah.
And appreciation.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. I think today it would be, I can just imagine it'd be tough because you'd have so many people for different things, regulations and.
Yeah. Really had a lot of them then, but.
And we're back. You're listening to Beyond the Numbers on Mighty 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. I'm your host, Mark Bellows, a principal with Clifton Larson Allen. You can reach me at my office, 996-784-7800, or mark.bellows@claconnect.com. If you want to call into the station here and talk to me or my guest today, the number is 866-576-1055. And our guest today is Buck Nord, who started out his business career, I guess, you could say, as with horses and developed at the Buck Nord Ranch, which, as we had just finished before the break, kind of ran its course, I guess. But during that, you were a land leaser, and then you saw the appreciation of land going up, and you said, I want to get a piece of that. So what did you start doing with that? Did you start buying up land, or what would you do?
Yeah, as often as I could. It was still, wherever I had a lease, a valid lease, and it kept operating, we generally stayed a viable location. But whenever they would start to sell that, that stopped my model from working. But it created a new model for maybe being able to buy that land.
Right.
And it gave me a seat at the table because I had right of first refusal.
Right.
But I wasn't able to buy as many, so I'd lose a business
Sure,
location
sure.
here or there. And I got more and more cash strapped because of what I said earlier. The payments on these things
Or
were
much
much
higher.
more than the rent I had
So
been paying.
continuing on the business, the ranch business on that land really didn't make financial sense. So what would you do?
It did not. Well, we first changed the business a little bit. San Jose became Silicon Valley.
Right.
And I changed the model of the, like, we still had trail riding, but that was more the sizzle on the steak. We went after group events, company picnic for Silicon Valley companies.
Okay.
And all these companies had a company picnic every year, and we tried to get that business, and we had some hayride parties at night. Really, Silicon Valley companies became our new customers.
So is this in
And
the
so
80s?
Once in a while, this would have been the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we started making more money that way.
Okay.
On using the same land, and the horses were still part of the image, but not very many people really rode the horses. They
Yeah.
came there to pitch horseshoes, and we served
Barbecue.
1,000 meals a day.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Out there, over 1,000 meals a day. So we were able to make more money and support more, and it came down to really that one ranch we now call the Buck Nord Ranch.
Right.
Really became the property where it still could afford a ranch operation like that. And that was getting harder and harder. But the land was getting to be worth more and more, so I could go to the bank and borrow some more money, but that just made it even harder to make it the next year.
Yeah.
Now the payments
It
were
was
up.
gonna
So I
catch
knew
up.
this was coming to an end.
Right.
And and I really romanced the county parks department into buying me out, which they ultimately did. And that gave me that 1031 exchange
Yeah,
status.
yeah.
And I wish, Mark, I'd known somebody like you at that time, because if I could have spoken with you about that and the advantages I had, I would have
Right.
done things a lot differently than I did and been a lot better off for it. But I really didn't understand that, and I didn't know anybody who did.
Well, and the eminent domain stuff, basically the point is, it's kind of like a 1031 exchange, but when they pay you money, as long as you reinvest that money, I think it's either 1033 or 1034, but as long as you reinvest that money, then it's not taxable to you.
Yes, that's the case with all 1031 exchanges, but when
Yeah.
it's under eminent domain, threat of eminent domain, I don't have to invest the money. I have to buy another property or properties
Right.
worth that amount.
Yes, right.
But I can
That's
take
what
just part of
yeah.
that money as a
Yeah.
down payment and keep the rest.
Yeah,
And so that would be a great advantage. I also found the type of properties that I bought after I would have changed different. I wish I would have known you at the time, because you got me, as you did recently, when I asked your advice about a new loan versus
Right.
paying off a property, you were able to help me there. Thank you for that. I did get a new loan, by the way,
Good.
and did it pursuant to your advice. But, yeah, and it really pays to have professional advice in these
Yeah.
things. They turn out to be a lot differently.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways you can structure things.
Yep.
So from the ranch, you got start getting into development at that point, residential development?
I actually bought a huge apartment complex in
Okay,
Houston.
some multifamily.
And, yeah, multifamily
Houston.
in Houston.
Why Houston?
Well, I don't know if you remember the S&L crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was during that time. It was the early 90s, and S&Ls were being taken over by the FDIC, and they were auctioning off these properties. And I
Right.
actually bought it at an auction. I couldn't believe, compared with California prices and everything, what I got that for per unit, but it wasn't the best thing to do. It took me 4 years to work my way back out of that. There again, if I had better advice, I'd have done things differently. But it did put me knee deep in the real estate business. And I became a real estate investor as I am now.
Right.
But starting with homes, individual homes, I did buy a couple on next to the ranch. I think I mentioned to you
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
Development came right up to the border of the ranch, and I was afraid with homes there, I would get protests against the ranch operation. That really never did happen, but I feared that it would. And I tried to buy a couple of those tract houses along the way. And I did. That kind of started me in the real estate business. And I was kind of in real estate for what I explained earlier.
Right, yeah.
The horse business. But once I sold out to the county parks department, that was the last horse. That was in 1992.
92, okay.
And since then, I've just been a real estate investor, and I've morphed from residential on into commercial properties.
So you started
And
out-
agricultural properties. I
Yeah.
have orange groves too.
So you start out in residential, so you had multifamily in Houston,
Mhm.
and then did you get some other condos and stuff, right? Is that?
Yes, after I sold out in Houston, I went over to, it's hard to find places to pencil out, to get a cap rate return on your money. It's easy
Right.
to buy properties that sound good, they're gonna appreciate, but I needed income. So looking for that, I wasn't able to find that in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
But I did find it actually in Reno. And
Okay.
I got a shopping center there, which I still have. I bought several condos there. Bought the old country store in Genoa, the town of Genoa. It's kind of like you own the whole town when you own the old
Yeah,
store and the
sure.
post office. And I bought a vacation property in Incline Village, which I rent out today as a vacation property.
Yeah, yeah. And then you've got a shopping center down in Fresno, right?
Yes, that's an office building.
Office building, I'm sorry,
Down in
office building.
Fresno. That's the one you advised me on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an office building there, an office building here in Rockland, and the shopping mall in Reno.
Okay. And your office building in Rockland, by the way, has a vacancy.
It does,
If anyone's
yeah, it
looking for
does.
some
Matter of
office
fact,
space.
if anybody's looking for a space, I do have about an 800 square foot suite that was just emptied out. Actually, the tenant moved to another part of the building.
Okay.
But that's available now.
And
I
that's
have a-
on
On Sunset,
Sunset.
3175 Sunset Boulevard.
right by Dutch Brothers. I mean,
Yeah,
very close to
right
Dutch
across-
Brothers.
across
So it's
the
a
street from Dutch
great
Brothers.
access to Dutch Brothers
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
daily basis. So.
Yeah, thank you for that plug.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I also still feel like an agricultural guy.
Yeah.
So the closest I am, one of my daughters still has horses, trains horses, and starts colts for quarter horses. And so we bought a ranch down there of oranges. And we're planting oranges. We're tearing out old orange trees and putting in new mandarins down there, so that's kind of exciting.
And that's in Visalia area, or where's
Yeah,
that?
Visalia area, a
Okay.
little town called Lindsay.
Okay.
If you ever remember Lindsay Olives.
Yeah, oh,
That's
yeah.
where they came from. They're
Okay.
not there anymore, but that's the little town of Lindsay. And then
So-
I tried offshore.
That's
Buying
right.
too, you may remember, I
Yes.
bought, some other fellows and I went into Panama and bought several properties down there. And we learned a good lesson there.
Which was?
Well, just don't do that.
That is a good lesson.
We made money on every property we bought there. When I say we made money, the price increased like we thought it would.
Okay.
And the profit should have been there. But with another country taxing you and regulating you and charging you and fees to you, they just ate it all up. And
Is
we
that
ended
right?
up spending about 5 years of our time and energy down there and didn't even quite get our money back for the time. So, but it was a good lesson.
Yeah.
Just buy in the United States.
Yeah. or I wonder, other countries perhaps are different in terms of more friendly, if you will, to U.S. investors.
I think it would be hard to find another country more friendly than Panama. Of everything we
Really?
looked at, yes, they seemed
And
the
even
most.
with Panama, it was
Even
difficult to
with
get it
that.
out, yeah.
Now, if we would have moved to Panama, which one of the partners was gonna do.
Right.
That would have been different.
Different story.
Yeah, different story, different tax rates, different things like that.
Right.
And so our plan, having one of the partners live down there, didn't come to fruition, and that really was the key.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So,
if you're gonna move to Panama, I think it's still a good place to be,
Yeah.
good place of investment.
otherwise, you're now sticking in the U.S.
Yep, yep.
Sticking in the U.S. So, you have the place in Incline Village, but otherwise you're completely out of residential now. It's
That's
all
correct.
commercial.
Yep. Yep.
And do you like it a lot better?
I do, I like it a lot better. There's so many regulations with residential property now.
Yeah.
There's so many laws and regulations, and I'm just getting, at my age, I kinda want it easier. And
Right.
commercial really is easier. And you're dealing with different people, you're dealing with professional business people.
Right.
It's not so emotional. So I like it, I
Yeah.
like it a lot better.
Yeah. So, and what about, well, we're gonna take a break here in a minute, but maybe we talk some about the property management. Do you do that? Do you use a manager? I think you did
Yeah,
mention
I'd be
using
glad to talk
leasing
about that.
agents, but, and what your experience has been with that as well.
Yeah, I'd be glad to share that with you.
Okay, good.
Come back.
All right, well, Jerry, we ready for a break now? I'm early, 30 seconds early. I got the timing's all key. So, all right, now we're ready. Okay, we're gonna take a break. You're listening to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. We're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.
Is this going okay, Mark?
Yeah, it's going great. Thank goodness.
Any pointers you wanna give me?
No, I'm pretty good. Yeah.
Well, thank you for leaving me.
Yeah.
Able to get in some plugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without looking cheesy.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
So,
it's,
we'll finish up a little bit more about,
I'm trying to think of, what your listeners might wanna hear about, they may be more interested in the horses even than the real estate, but we'd try to get them from both.
yeah. I think real estate's good. I think your experiences in real estate is good to share, so.
Yeah, we can talk about the management of them. Just what I told you this morning, I really kind of manage one of them here because it's close by.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm doing less and less. When I say manage it, not like a property manager really manages, because they do all the reports, they collect the money.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And get the accounting for it, and I have someone else doing all that.
And so that's good stuff to talk about, I think. too.
Yeah.
So people can see that. Because I think, I know a couple of different people who invest in residential real estate, single family homes.
Mhm.
A couple of them, and it's, they're the ones that answer the phone, have to go take care of the
Right.
toilets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so that can be a hassle.
Really can.
And then get out of that if you get to a park management company, or if you get, into commercial or something's a little different story.
Yeah. Much better. And in the residential, generally speaking, now these things go up and down, but generally speaking, by the time you hire a management company to manage them, it doesn't pencil out
Yeah,
anymore.
no.
First of all, they don't manage them quite as well as they want.
Yeah.
I won't say that.
And you're back to listening to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5, and I'm part of the Wall Street Business Network. I'm your host, Mark Bellows, and I've got my guest today, Buck Norrie, and we're just talking about the fact that Buck went from having the horses and trail riding and events and that type of stuff to becoming in commercial, residential real estate owner for a while, and now he's gotten out of residential for the most part, except for the place in the Incline, and is in commercial. And so we were just talking about before the break. Do you use property managers? How do you run your various commercial? Because you're spread out. I mean, Reno, Fresno,
Right.
and Rockland.
Yeah, I have property managers for all of them, except the one in Rockland, because I live close by. I live out in Loomis Country, I'm only 15 minutes away from the building, and I go there for the mail, but I don't totally manage it either. I'm just the landlord who's around.
Right.
And probably on my other properties, none of my tenants really even know me, which is kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
You get in between your manager when you do that, and let the
Yeah.
managers handle it. But for commercial property, having another manager is really better. I have the same company that manages my Reno properties, does the accounting and reporting and collecting the checks and everything, even for the building that I manage. So I kind of manage it.
Yeah, yeah. And so the manager would do things like if someone has a problem, we got broken into, we need to get the locks replaced, or we've got a leak in something, or the roof's leaking. I mean, people would call the manager first, right?
Yes.
Or is there someone?
All except the one in Rockland, they would call me in that case.
Okay.
Well, I do have a building superintendent, takes care of all the maintenance, and
Right.
they mostly call him first.
Okay.
And that's okay with me.
But you also sometimes use leasing agents on the properties?
I do. When I have vacancies, I usually list with an agent and with Tri-Commercial. I've been with them, they've been real good with me.
And the reason for them versus you doing it yourself is they've got a big connection, they've got networks.
Yeah, that's part of it, and also I don't have to mess with it.
Yeah. All right.
But I do lease some. It's once in a while it just happens. It's someone knows about me and calls, and I'll be glad to handle that.
Right.
But otherwise, I use Tri-Commercial there. And in some cases on the other properties, like in the case of Reno, for example, the same management company does the leasing for me. They have
Okay.
two divisions of that company.
Gotcha.
They are different.
Yeah.
Different people, different things, but they have both in that office.
That's nice. So you don't have to
Whereas
do it.
in Fresno, for example, my leasing agent is totally different office from my manager.
Gotcha. So you've got some agricultural property.
Yeah.
So what are you growing there? You said oranges and mandarins?
Yeah, we started off with oranges,
And how
and
many
I had
acres?
several orchards. But,
Okay.
well, several thousand trees.
Okay.
But we found that the good California navel oranges, which are really delicious to eat, but you really can't make any money with them these days. People are wanting more exotic fruits, and make sure they're seedless and they peel easy and
Yeah.
all these
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of things. So what I've had to do was
Cuties are a good example. I mean,
cuties are a very good
it's
example.
It's a huge
And in fact, the
operation.
fruit it's gonna knock the tar out of the cuties
Good,
because
all right.
they're a mandarin like a cutie and they peel very easily like a cutie.
Yeah.
They separate after you peel them, but they're larger
Oh.
and even sweeter and juicier than.
Really?
They're gonna be called. Remember this? They're called gold nuggets.
Gold nuggets, all right.
Mandarin gold nuggets, and you'll be seeing those on the higher end stores. And we just, in fact, I'm gonna have my first crop in the third year of that orchard.
3 years. Okay.
In probably next month or two.
Oh, wow.
It
All right.
won't be much, won't be enough to pay its cost, but I'm excited just to
Yeah.
get our first crop
Yeah.
out of that. Also, from a tax point of view, and you may or may not know this from its agricultural, a little out of your line, but I can't deduct expenses on a new orchard until I first have a crop.
Yeah, marketable crop.
There you go, you're aware of that. So this gives me
That's a good news for you.
Suddenly,
Yeah.
suddenly I can start deducting a lot of.
Yeah, 3 years
expenses.
is 3 years is good. I know. I remember when I used to work with the almond.
Oh, yeah.
Almond grower
Yep,
and,
yep.
and walnuts and stuff, and they're usually about 4 years up there. So
Mine should be 4 years, I'm lucky.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
coming out
good.
as just getting enough of a crop to register.
nice. So golden nuggets.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we'll have to watch it for those.
Golden
Yeah.
nuggets, sometimes just called gold nuggets,
Gold nuggets.
but they're a mandarin.
Okay.
And they also have the Caracara oranges, and they're kind of a sexy orange. They're a nice big navel orange. They look like any other navel orange, but when you open it up, it's pink in color.
Yeah.
It has a little different taste,
Oh,
a little
they're
different
good.
consistency.
They're good.
They're very,
Yeah.
very good. So that keeps my agricultural roots going a little bit.
And you have managers that manage the farm, if you will.
Yes, crop
The orchards,
managers,
yeah.
and in fact, boy, without them, I don't know what I do, because I call myself an orange grower. I'm really an investor.
Yeah.
And, but I'm learning.
Right.
More and more how to do it, but no, we have good crop managers with a lot of experience and good.
And then
crop
do you
managers.
take those and go to like a cooperative packing house that packs them, or how do you do?
Exactly,
that?
Martin, you hit it exactly on the head. You choose which association you want to belong to. That association does a lot of things for you. They even handle the harvesting, picking,
Okay.
pruning everything, and run your fruit through and grade it, and then you become a part of a pool.
Right.
That's worldwide. It's very interesting to go in these packing houses and see, you got people on the phones like we are with headphones, they're talking all over the world.
Yeah.
But here's a packing house Orange is going through, and here you got salespeople in there talking to all over the world, talking to Australia, they're talking to Korea about selling these packages and things. I find it very exciting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
That
Yeah.
this stuff's going.
So are your gold nuggets gonna be, are there other growers that grow these gold nuggets as well?
I'm afraid there will be a lot.
But for
And
now,
right now,
you-
we're on the cutting
Okay.
edge. We're not the only ones, but we're early in the field.
Yeah.
And I think they're really gonna
Yeah,
hit
the
that.
pool's gonna
Of course,
be-
they're gonna cost a little more to the consumer, but it's the consumer that wants to pay a little more. and get
Yeah,
them.
we'll be willing to do that.
Yeah.
So, something a little bigger than a cutie.
Yeah.
Good, I'm looking forward to seeing, to tasting those and see how they are.
I wanna thank you again, Mark,
Yeah.
for the help you've been to me personally on this. I've come to see you for advice on some of these things. I just mentioned the loan versus paying something off.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to pay a whole thing off, and you advised me otherwise, and you were right, and I got that taken care of, so
Good.
thank you.
Well, good, I'm glad. So I've got an article here from Forbes, came out a couple of days ago. So it's 9 entrepreneurs share their most valuable daily life hacks. You know, how do they hack it, right? So they're gonna share this. So I'm gonna go through these and you tell me
Okay,
if there are things you do or used to do or.
all right.
So, one is by the guy who started Cloud One, and he says, schedule time for everything. He says, many professionals treat their calendar like their Bible. It governs every aspect of their day. So do you, how's everything with you?
I'm not that disciplined. I haven't been that disciplined, although I try to be.
Right.
And, but I just kind of take it as it comes. And if I have a hack that's related to that, it's do the hardest things first. Get
That's
those out of the
good.
way.
Yeah, that's great. I like that too. The hardest thing first. The next one, this comes from Brandon Ho from Helium Sign, C-I-N-E, kind sign, Helium Sign. To overcome a challenge, collaborate. It says find the best people you can to collaborate with and working to overcome challenges.
Absolutely agree with that.
You've done a
I'm
lot
good
of
for-
collaboration over the years.
I sure do. And
Yeah.
getting advice anywhere I can. I still make up my own mind, but I take all that information together.
And again, then we have an informed
Mhm.
decision. Excuse me. The third, I think this is a good one. I like this one. This is from Chris Dofler from 3DFS, is embrace another point of view. So he says, he works day in and day out with some of the world's most brilliant minds of history of notable world-changing accomplishments, and personality is strong, always discussions and opinions, and sometimes they differ from you.
That would be number one thing I do. Any kind of a deal, I put myself on the other side of the place, and how would I feel if I'm on the other side of this? How's it gonna look to me on the other side of this thing? I do that a lot and successfully, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think again, that allows you to have a more informed decision.
Well,
making
your
process.
deal may come through or may not, if you're just only thinking of what you want out of it and not what it looks like for the other person or other people involved. So I try to do that, put my mind in everyone's involved in this kind of thing.
Okay, good. So number 4, this is a good one too, and this would apply to Silicon Valley, I think, amongst others, but it says, there's a guy named Grant Glass from AppPress, says, just say no to long commutes. It says the best bank he can offer is, hack he can offer is make sure your office is less than 15 minutes away from your home.
Yeah, I haven't, since I don't really have a lot of employees or anything anymore,
Yeah.
that one doesn't apply to me, but I can sure say it would if I was in that circumstance.
Yeah, see,
And
I'm-
you're right, Silicon Valley would really
Oh,
apply
yeah, those
to
guys.
it.
Yeah, and my particular commute is about 8 minutes with traffic, 6 minutes without, so I like having a short commute.
Yeah.
Because for a while I was living in Elk Grove and working in Roseville when I first started, and that was 45 minutes to an hour and a half
Oh,
without traffic. That's just a
killer.
long way.
There goes your,
Yeah.
big part of your life.
Yeah. Number 5, this comes from Aid Alano from a company called Gel, and it says reach for inbox 0. So he's keeping his inbox down to 0.
I do.
Again, I try to get that as well.
I do, yes, and that goes for your cell phone too. All your emails, just
Yeah.
keep after them, clean them up as you go.
Number 6, this is from Robin Salter from Quit with a K, Quit. It's wake up with an affirmation. As soon as you wake up in the morning, say a powerful positive statement like yes, or I love being alive, or that type of thing. So do you do affirmations consciously? I do, but I started doing that for years.
I would say yes, but I forget a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But basically.
Yeah, I think that's good. Number 7, this is from Sophia Heider from Papilia, and it says find inner peace, which I think is anything. If you can find some kind of inner peace in what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's a
we
big deal.
even tried that
It's a big deal.
Headspace app for a while.
That's the
And,
meditation,
Alice and
yeah.
I both have said that I think it's kind of helpful
That's
to
good.
do it. It's not easy
No,
to do.
no.
Hard to stop the mind from going around.
Exactly. All right, 2 more to go, and I gotta get through these quick because we're almost out of time. Number 8 is Embrace Optimism from Devin McKinney from Athlotech, and number 9 is Multitask from Lauren Koenig from TWIP. So I agree with Embrace Optimism. I think that multitasking is challenging.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. So, hey, you've been listening to Beyond the Numbers on Monday 105.5 FM, part of the Wall Street Business Network. My guest today has been Buck Norrie. Thanks for being on the show, Buck.
Thank you, Mark.
And everybody have a great week. And if you want to get a hold of me, 916-784-7800. Talk to you next week. It's amazing how fast the time goes.
Boy, it does go fast. I looked at my watch 10 minutes ago, and I went, really?
The next thing you know, time's up. All right.
Well, did that go well as far as you're concerned?
I think it went great. I appreciate it, Buck. Thank you. We're gonna
Well, I really enjoyed it. I
end the show.
appreciate